Welcome in and welcome back. We're here to review episode 3 of The Mandalorian. Episode 3 of The Mandalorian is titled The Sin. So, as in with any real review of any type of literature, what we're going to be doing here is talking about things that include spoilers. Anytime you see a review that does not include spoilers, it's basically just a recommendation video from what I can gather. This is not a recommendation. We're going to be talking about the actual ideas and themes. So herein their spoilers be. It is called The Sin for obvious reasons. The obvious reason being that the Mandalorian himself goes to turn in Baby Yoda, to those parties that are probably not looking out for Baby Yoda's best interests as the Mandalorian might. Now, the first thing that really stood out to me didn't strike me in episode... I think there was a brief bit of this in episode 2 when the Mandalorian went to see the armorer. But there's a whole lot more of it here, and it strikes me in a way, a cross-literary reference, if you might, a cross-literary spark, if you will. This is the way. This is the way. This is the way. His name is Robert Paulson. I wonder what it is about organizations such as the Mandalorians themselves, such as Project Mayhem, where there's a lot of people that get to be alone together, that is so true to the masculine way. This is the masculine way. If you look at all of the interactions in this so far have been fairly cold and distant. As I referenced last episode, where the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda approach Nick Nolte's character as he is up on the AT&T tower, basically, and they don't say anything. The silence is broken by Nick Nolte's character saying, "I thought you were dead." Very old Western, very spaghetti Western, very Clint Eastwood. You can see Clint Eastwood on either the delivering end or the receiving end of that line in basically any movie he ever played in. So I wonder what it is that feels... I wonder why it feels so authentically masculine. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is not a masculine thing. Maybe that is just maybe that's not a guy thing. Maybe that is a universal thing that I attribute to masculinity, because I feel it. I feel it right here when there are people being alone together. Speaking of cold and distant, one part of this script, the script continues to impress me. One part of the script that was incredibly insightful and impressive was when Mando was speaking to the armorer, and he said, "I cannot accept the bull moose, the bullhorn, the something, moose horn, something, I can't remember, the something horn, the Star Wars animal horn. I cannot accept it as my signet because I had help in killing it, and that help in killing it came from an enemy." Well, why would an enemy help you? He did not know he was the enemy. This is cold and distant. This is something which we come to expect a little bit from the Mandalorian peoples if we're paying attention, but it's still striking when it happens. By the way, is the armorer the only female Mandalorian? It's sort of like with the Smurfs. There's only the one girl, so you have to wonder exactly how popular she is. Now, speaking of things that I brought up in other episodes, the new armor. Mando gets all of this Beskar steel, enough to create basically an entire knight's armor of protection. Still has a depression in the heart, but that depression where the heart is the same color as the rest of it. It is not as obvious a depression in his armor. So I'm not going to count that as a win for my future telling skills, but I certainly think that it bears mentioning that this armor, the primary visual discrepancy between the old armor and the new is that the heart matches the rest of the armor. Now, I'm going to get into a string of pointing out great storytelling tactics from this episode. Number one, when Mando goes back to the corral to accept his new mission, everyone looks at him. That's old for Mando. But when he gets to accepting the commission itself, old boy tries to talk him out of it. Tries to tell, you know what? Take some time for yourself. You made yourself rich. You made me rich. Let's just let this simmer, buddy. Because you're going to have a big old target on your back for one, but for two, celebrate a little bit, won't you? Loosen up, man. Doe. Loosen up. And he says, so, how can I thank you? You can give me my next mission. How can I thank you? You can give me my next mission. That's great storytelling on two levels. Number one, it tells us just what Mando is about. Number two, it tells us a little bit about why none of these, well, I guess it's more than two levels. It tells us why none of these bounty hunters ever get ahead. How are you going to get ahead when you just party off the last mission every time you bring one in? Number three, it tells us if we pay particular attention to delivery, it tells us a little bit about Mando's state of mind. He does ask what's going to happen to Baby Yoda before he ever even leaves with his commission. But as he is accepting his next mission, before he gets around to asking it's not his boss, I don't know the character's name. Before he gets around to asking him what's going to happen to Baby Yoda, the delivery of "you can give me my next mission" sounds awfully full of guilt and contempt for the self. That's great storytelling. There are a lot of things going on in that one little bit of dialogue. Another great bit of storytelling, we have to remember that we are in a visual medium. In the visual medium, the best way to express something, so there is an old saying in art, there's an old term in art, the objective correlative. This, to the best of my knowledge, goes back to the late 19-teens, 1920s. The objective correlative goes back to an old phrase, which is not in ideas, but things. How weak would it have been for the Mandalorian, for Mando himself, to go back to his trusty ship, sit down and say out loud, "Golly, I sure do miss that ugly little Baby Yoda fella. I feel kind of guilty about this." That would have been terrible storytelling. What does he do? It is a visual medium. We have him reach for his gear shift, but his gear shift is not there. Why? Because in the previous episode, Baby Yoda had been playing with it, and Mando moves it out of the way. So not in ideas, but things, in that moment, we feel the absence of Baby Yoda. We are not told about the absence of Baby Yoda. That would have been an idea. We are absorbing the absence of Baby Yoda. That is the thing. The absence of Baby Yoda is inflicted upon us. So the objective correlative, not in ideas, but things, do not show me, or do not tell me, show me, put the idea in me. Inception, on some level, if you will. Now, another great bit of storytelling here. Again, visual medium. The visual medium comes a little bit in this space, as it is not just a painting, it is a movie type visual medium. We've got sound as well. One of the sounds that has been very, very crucial to this series thus far, is the pinging of a key fob. It's not a key fob, the pinging of a tracker fob. So when Mando busts out Baby Yoda and goes rogue and decides, bring them all, he busts out, and immediately we see tracker fobs dinging on a planet which is teeming with bounty hunters. That is great storytelling, using the elements of the world against the protagonist. Great storytelling. Now, speaking of that breakout scene, am I wrong? So one of the greatest. Let me think of how I should say this. One of the reasons I love Wolverine comic books, that I love the character of Wolverine, is that there are times when, basically, with Wolverine, first-person Wolverine, it's like being a first-person shooter through the eyes of Freddy Krueger or through the eyes of Jason Voorhees. And we never really get that, right? We never really get that as an audience member. In a horror film, we're always in through the eyes of the innocent trying to escape or trying to avenge. But we are innocent. Imagine a horror film from the eyes of Freddy Krueger. That's what you get with Wolverine. It's also what you get with Batman. The scene where the Mandalorian, where Mando busts in and is extracting Baby Yoda. That's what a Batman movie should feel like. That is what a Batman movie is supposed to feel like. You are supposed to feel the wave of righteous indignation washing over you. The wave of righteous terrorism. If that you can feel the fear in those stormtroopers as they are searching for the Mandalorian and ultimately falling before him. That is how a Batman movie should feel, except for the fact Mando straight up shivs a dude. And a couple seconds later, he sets somebody on fire. This, to me, look, is one thing with Mudhorn. I think Mudhorn is the third ugliest animal from last episode, including the thing he rode and then Baby Yoda being the ugliest. The Mudhorn scene where he was just butchered, that was pretty extreme, I thought, for Disney Plus. I didn't expect to see that sort of stuff. Seeing someone get lit on fire, seeing somebody get stabbed in the kidney, I didn't expect that at all. That was extreme to me. It tells me, it reaffirms to me the investment which was Disney Plus. I'm going to get a lot out of Disney Plus because on this channel I'm probably going to go through all of the Marvel movies. I might do a series like this for the X-Men animated series, and I am certainly going to do the Mandalorian Season 2 as it drops live. One thing, I don't know how I'm going to wait that week in between. This is pretty good. I've never had a show before, but I think I've got one. But this reaffirms that the investment of Disney Plus is a positive one for me, because I am someone who is looking forward to the Marvel series, and I was afraid that they would be milk and cinnamon, but I don't think they will be. If in The Mandalorian we're seeing someone get straight up shivved, in fact, not even just shivved, they're getting bataranged into being shivved, and then you set somebody on fire. Um, far out. Far out. The last two things that I have to talk about here, with the themes as they are arising, I think it's fairly obvious. A good deal of this series thus far circles around the fact that Mandalorians are a tribe. Mandalorians are struggling right now. And Mandalorians are at least largely predicated, if not exclusively predicated, though I can't be sure, on the idea of the foundling. The foundling is the future generation. So what we've got there is, as the community, the Mandalorians are proud of their phrase, "This is the way." But as a people, they seem to have lost their way. That is, until they find something worth fighting for. Fighting being the Mandalorian way. Saving being the Mandalorian way. Foundlings being the Mandalorian way. It is obvious to me at this point that the Baby Yoda character is going to end up being a Mandalorian. This is not going to be the last we see of Baby Yoda. And as the Mandalorians have found their way back to who they are by saving Baby Yoda, remember, Mando says, the big Mandalorian, which is voiced by Jon Favreau, says, "We're living like rats because of the Empire, from whom this Beskar steel that rat got was stolen from us. We are living like rats," he says. They're living like rats because they forgot what they are doing. They forgot the way. Here, they have, when Mando gets in trouble, they save the day. So they save the day because this is the way of the Mandalorian. So it is through a great act of heroism that the community will be forced out of living like rats to flee to where they will become again Mandalorians. But they have among them a very powerful individual, this Baby Yoda character, who lifts up a creature with the Force, a creature which is slightly less ugly than Baby Yoda. So it will be interesting to see the Mandalorians embrace the Baby Yoda, who embraces the Mandalorians, and then they return to the... I believe Mandalorians had a place of prevalence at some point in the Star Wars universe. One thing I want to keep track of going forward in this series. Number one, look for that pit in Mando's armor to be filled in with something. Number two, I lost it. Oh, yeah. I said this while reviewing the trailer for Season 2 of The Mandalorian. I think that's what it was doing. There will come a point in time where Mando and Baby Yoda are as big a part of the Star Wars mythos as are Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, as is Princess Leia, as is Chewbacca. It is obvious that they have some type of plan for Baby Yoda. This will not be the last series in which Baby Yoda is seen. So it is interesting to have this universe already established and to see some point in the future where the characters we have are going to be very prevalent then. And to wonder how we get there, and to be a live and active part of watching how this story develops. I, for one, have faith in Favreau and Filoni as long as there are not too many fingers in the pie. I think that this is the beginning of something which could be fortuitous for the Star Wars universe. That is all I have for Episode 3, The Sin. I do not remember what Episode 4 is called, but maybe there will be a review up for it on the channel tomorrow. Regardless, there will be a review up for it on the channel sometime soon. And hopefully, I will be doing reviews for Season 2 of The Mandalorian as the episodes drop, because I should be up. I work overnights. I think they're going to be dropping on Friday mornings. I am off Thursday into Friday. Hopefully, I'll be getting reviews for the new season up quickly upon their release.